Time is a fair judge. It does not care who is rich or who is poor. It simply moves forward, turning boys into men and girls into women, and sometimes turning princes into paupers. 9 years had passed since the day Josh stood shivering in the mud. Those 9 years were not kind to Josh's body, but they were excellent for his mind. He had kept his promise to his father. He worked double shifts at the mechanic shop during the day, his hands hardening into leather, his skin darkened by the sun. At night, while his mates were sleeping or partying, Josh was awake. He studied under the dim light of a kerosene lamp because the electricity in their neighborhood was never stable. He entered the university to study mechanical engineering. He was the quiet student in the back of the class who wore the same 2 shirts every week, but whose hand was the first to shoot up when the professor asked a difficult question. He didn't just learn the theory, he knew the practical. While other students were memorizing textbooks, Josh could strip an engine blindfolded. By the time he graduated, he didn't just have a degree, he had a reputation. He designed a low-cost, high-efficiency engine part that saved a major manufacturing company millions of naira. They hired him on the spot. Josh Allen was no longer the boy with the greasy hands. He was Engineer Joshua Allen. He wore tailored suits. He walked with confidence. He bought his parents a beautiful 4-bedroom bungalow in a quiet estate, far away from the noise and dust of the mechanic workshop. But while Josh was climbing the ladder of success one painful step at a time, Lisa was living in the clouds. Lisa was now 26 years old. She had grown even more beautiful, if that was possible. Her skin was flawless, maintained by expensive spas in Dubai and Paris. She drove the latest cars. She wore clothes that cost more than a civil servant's yearly salary. She had never worked a day in her life. Why should she? Her father, Mr. Carter, was a billionaire. He owned airlines, hotels, and oil blocks. Because her mother had died giving birth to her, Mr. Carter had poured all his love and his guilt into spoiling Lisa. He never said no to her. He never made her learn a skill. He never made her understand the value of money. To Lisa, money was like air. It was just there. It was her 26th birthday. The party was held at the Carter Mansion in Banana Island. It was the event of the year. Champagne flowed like water. Musicians played live on a floating stage in the swimming pool. Lisa wore a diamond tiara, laughing with her friends, feeling like the queen of the world. "Happy birthday, Daddy's princess," Mr. Carter beamed, hugging her. He looked older now, his hair completely white, but he still looked powerful. "Thanks, Daddy," Lisa squealed. "Where is my gift?" "It's coming," he laughed. "But I have to fly to Abuja tonight for an emergency meeting with the investors. When I return tomorrow, your gift will be waiting." "You're leaving on my birthday," Lisa pouted, crossing her arms just like she did when she was 17. "It's for business, my love. Business keeps the diamonds on your neck," he kissed her forehead. "I love you, Lisa, be good." "I love you too, Daddy, safe flight." She watched him walk to the waiting car that would take him to his private hangar. She didn't know it was the last time she would ever see him walking. She turned back to the party, to the music, to the illusion that this life would last forever. 3 hours later, the music stopped. The DJ cut the sound. A hush fell over the crowd. Lisa, holding a glass of wine, looked around confused. "Why did the music stop?" she shouted. "Play the song." But no one was dancing. People were looking at their phones. Whispers rippled through the crowd like a cold wind. Guests were looking at her with wide, pitying eyes. Her uncle Lucas, her father's younger brother, walked through the crowd. He was a man with a smile that never reached his eyes. He looked grave. "Lisa," he said, his voice heavy. "Uncle, what is going on? Why is everyone staring at me?" "Come inside," Uncle Lucas said, grabbing her arm a little too tightly. "We need to talk." "No, tell me here," Lisa demanded, pulling away. Uncle Lucas sighed. "It's your father, Lisa. His private jet. There was a storm over the Middle Belt region. The plane went off the radar." Lisa felt the glass slip from her hand. It shattered on the marble floor. Crash. "What do you mean off the radar?" she whispered. It crashed, Lisa. There were no survivors. The world spun. The lights of the party blurred into streaks of color. The sound of her own scream felt like it was coming from someone else. Lisa collapsed onto the cold, hard ground, her beautiful birthday dress soaking in the spilled wine. The next few weeks were a blur of black clothes, crying, and fake condolences. The funeral was grand. The president came. Governors came. Josh Allen saw it on the news in his office, pausing for a moment to look at the weeping girl on the screen, feeling a strange twinge of pity before going back to his blueprints. But the real tragedy started after the earth covered Mr. Carter's coffin. Mr. Carter had made a mistake, a big one. He had always assumed he would live long enough to write a proper will, or perhaps he thought his family would protect his daughter. He had died intestate, without a signed will. And the sharks smelled blood. Lisa's uncles, Uncle Lucas and Uncle Dan, took over the Carter empire. They claimed they were managing the assets for the family. 1 month after the funeral, Lisa was sitting in the living room, staring at a wall. She hadn't eaten properly in days. Uncle Lucas walked in. He wasn't wearing black anymore. He was wearing one of Mr. Carter's favorite suits. He held a document in his hand. "Lisa," he said, not sitting down. "Uncle Lucas," she said weakly, "I need money. The cards are not working. The bank says the accounts are frozen." "They are not frozen," Uncle Lucas said coldly. "They are restricted. We are auditing the company." "But I need to buy food. I need to pay the staff." "We fired the staff this morning," Uncle Lucas said casually, checking his watch. "It's too expensive to keep them." Lisa stood up, trembling. "You fired them. Who gave you the right? This is my father's house." "Was," Uncle Lucas corrected. "It was your father's house. Now it is company property. And since you do not work for the company and you have no skills to contribute, the board has decided it is time for you to move." Lisa blinked. She couldn't process the words. Move to where?" "That is not our concern." Uncle Dan walked in, eating an apple. "You are 26, Lisa. You are an adult. Your father spoiled you rotten. You don't know how to work. You don't know how to save. You spent millions on bags and shoes while we worked in the background. You are thieves." Lisa screamed. "I will call the police. I will call the lawyers." Uncle Lucas laughed. It was a cruel, dry sound. "The police work for us now, Lisa. The lawyers work for the company. We have the documents. We have the power. You have nothing." He threw a small travel bag at her feet. "Pack your things. You have 1 hour." "You can't do this," Lisa wailed. She fell to her knees, grabbing Uncle Lucas's leg. "Please, Uncle, I am your blood. I am your brother's daughter. Don't throw me out. Where will I go? I don't know how to do anything." Uncle Lucas kicked her leg away. "Then you better learn, and learn fast. Welcome to the real world, princess." An hour later, the heavy iron gates of the Banana Island mansion slammed shut. Lisa stood on the street. She had one suitcase filled with clothes. She had her jewelry box, but Uncle Dan had snatched it from her at the door, saying, "These were bought with company money." She had the clothes on her back, her phone, and 0 naira in her pocket. It began to rain. Lisa looked at the closed gate. She looked at the security guard, a man she had ignored for years. "Ahmed," she pleaded through the bars, "please open the gate. It's me, Lisa." The guard looked at her with no sympathy. He remembered how she used to shout at him if he opened the gate too slowly. He remembered how she never said thank you. "Sorry, madam," Ahmed said, turning his back. "Orders from the new boss." Lisa turned to the street. The rain soaked her hair, the expensive Brazilian hair she had fixed for her birthday. It ruined her designer shoes. She walked. She didn't know where she was going. She just walked until her legs gave out. That night, the daughter of the billionaire slept under the awning of a shop in Oberlin. She hugged her knees to her chest, shivering, terrified of the shadows, terrified of the rats, terrified of the future. She closed her eyes and wished it was a nightmare. She wished she would wake up in her soft bed with the silk sheets. But the hard concrete bit into her skin, and the cold wind whispered the truth. The princess had fallen, and there was no one to catch her. Lagos is a beast that feeds on the weak. It does not care about your past. It only cares about what you can offer today. And Lisa had nothing to offer. The first few months were a descent into hell. Lisa sold her phone, the latest iPhone, just to stay in a cheap hotel for 2 weeks. She thought her uncles would call. She thought they were just teaching her a lesson and would come back for her. They never called. When the money from the phone ran out, she was kicked out of the hotel. She tried to reach out to her friends, the girls who had drunk her champagne and ridden in her father's jets. "OMG, Lisa, that's so sad," one said over the phone before hanging up. "I can't help you though, my parents would kill me." Lisa who? Another blocked her number. She learned quickly that she didn't have friends. She had fans of her money. When the money went, the fans left the stadium. Lisa found herself on the streets. She learned the geography of poverty. She learned which bridges were safe to sleep under and which ones were owned by gangs. She learned that hunger is not just a feeling in the stomach. It is a pain that eats your mind. It makes you dizzy. It makes you weak. It makes you willing to do anything for a loaf of bread. She tried to find work. She walked into offices looking disheveled, her clothes faded and dirty. "I want a job," she would say, trying to sound authoritative. "What can you do?" the managers would ask. "Can you type? Can you use Excel? Do you have accounting skills?" "No," Lisa would stammer, "but I can supervise. My father was Mr. Carter." They would laugh. "Mr. Carter is dead and this is not a charity. Get out." She couldn't even get a job as a cleaner because she didn't know how to scrub a floor properly. She had never washed a plate in her life. The first time she tried to wash dishes at a local mama put restaurant for food, she broke 3 plates because her hands were too soft and slippery with soap. The woman chased her away with a broom. 6 months passed. Lisa was unrecognizable. Her skin was rough and covered in insect bites. Her hair was matted and hidden under a dirty scarf. She wore a torn, oversized t-shirt and a wrapper she had picked up from a dustbin. She had lost weight. She was skeletal, her eyes sunken and hollow. She ended up at a construction site in Lekki. It was a massive project, a skyscraper rising into the clouds. The foreman was a wicked man with a scar on his cheek, known for hearing desperate people because he could pay them peanuts. "I need work," Lisa whispered, standing in the line of muscular men and hardened women. The foreman looked at her thin frame. You will faint in 1 hour." "Please," Lisa begged. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. "I will do anything. I will carry blocks. I will mix cement." The foreman laughed. "Okay, 1,500 naira a day. But if you drop 1 block, I will deduct it from your money." 1,500 naira. That was less than what she used to tip the parking attendants. Now, it was her lifeline. Lisa began to work. It was torture. She had to carry head pans of wet cement up 3 flights of stairs. The metal pan dug into her neck. The cement dripped down her face, burning her skin. Her legs shook with every step. Her back felt like it was breaking. "Faster, faster, you lazy girl," the foreman would shout, cracking a whip in the air. The other workers mocked her. They didn't know who she was, but they saw she was soft. "Look at this one," a man jeered. "She walks like she is on a runway. Madam, this is concrete, not carpet." Lisa cried silently as she worked. Her tears mixed with the sweat and cement dust. Every step was a punishment. She remembered the boy, the mechanic boy, Josh. She remembered how she had called him dirty. Now she was filthier than he had ever been. She remembered how she had called him unworthy. Now she was the lowest of the low. Karma, she thought bitterly. This is my karma. While Lisa was living in the dust, Josh Allen was touching the sky. His construction company, Allen and Sons Engineering, had just won the contract for the Lagos Horizon Tower, the very building Lisa was working on. Josh didn't just build, he innovated. He was known for treating his workers with respect, paying them well, and delivering perfection. Josh was now 26 too. He was handsome, with broad shoulders filled out by years of discipline. He had a beard that was neatly trimmed. He was wealthy, not just rich. But he remained humble. He still visited his father's mechanic shop on weekends, not to work, but to sit with Mr. Allen and eat roasted plantain. On this particular Tuesday, Josh decided to visit the Horizon Tower site personally. He wanted to inspect the foundation of the 4th floor. He didn't come in a truck, he came in his new car. It was a symbol of his victory, an orange Lamborghini Urus. It was a beast of a machine. Sharp angles, roaring engine, paint that shone like liquid fire. It was the kind of car that made traffic stop. Josh turned the Lamborghini into the construction site entrance. The security guards rushed to open the gate, saluting him. "The boss is here, the boss is here," the whisper went down the line. The foreman panicked. He started shouting at the workers. "Clean up, look busy, the owner is here. If I see anyone slacking, you are fired." The orange Lamborghini rolled slowly over the gravel, its massive tires crunching the stones. It came to a stop right in the center of the active zone. The driver's door opened. A polished black shoe stepped onto the dust, then a leg clad in tailored charcoal gray trousers. Josh Allen stepped out. He adjusted his suit jacket. He put on a white hard hat. He looked like a king inspecting his kingdom. He took off his sunglasses and scanned the site. He saw the crane. He saw the iron benders. And then his eyes drifted to a line of laborers carrying headpans of sand. There was a woman at the back of the line. She was struggling. Her legs were wobbling under the weight of the pan. She looked like she was about to collapse. Josh frowned. He hated seeing workers overloaded. He began to walk toward them to scold the foreman. Just as he got closer, the woman's knees gave way. Crash! The headpan fell. The sand spilled everywhere. The woman fell into the pile of sand, coughing. "You useless thing," the foreman roared, rushing over. He raised his hand to slap her. "I told you, I will not pay you today. Get up, get out of my sight." The woman was sobbing, trying to crawl away. Her headscarf fell off. Josh froze. He saw the face. It was gaunt, it was dirty, it was aged by suffering, but he knew those eyes. He had seen those eyes looking at him with arrogance from the back of a black SUV. He had seen those eyes laughing at him while he stood soaked in gutter water. It was impossible, but it was her. "Stop!" Josh's voice boomed across the site. It was a command that demanded instant obedience. The foreman froze, his hand in midair. "Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. This lazy woman, she is spoiling the—" "I said stop," Josh said, walking closer. The site went silent. The other workers stopped and stared. The billionaire boss was walking toward the dirty laborer. Josh stood over her. Lisa looked up. She saw the expensive black shoes. She saw the sharp suit. She looked up further and saw the face. She stopped breathing. It was him, the mechanic boy. But he wasn't a boy anymore. He was a god among men. He radiated power and success. And behind him, gleaming in the sun, was the orange Lamborghini, a car worth more than her father's old fleet combined. Lisa's mind flashed back. She saw the water splashing him. She heard her own cruel laughter. Now, the tables had turned so completely, it felt like the earth had flipped upside down. She was the one in the dirt. He was the one in the luxury. Josh stared at her. His face was unreadable. A rush of memories flooded his mind. The humiliation, the tears, the vow he made to himself. "This is it," a dark voice whispered in Josh's ear. "This is the moment. Humiliate her, spit on her, tell the foreman to throw her out. Do to her what she did to you. It is justice." He looked at her trembling hands. They were bleeding. Lisa saw the recognition in his eyes. She saw him remembering. The shame was worse than the hunger. It was worse than the cold. She wished the ground would open up and swallow her whole. She couldn't look at him. She buried her face in the sand and began to weep. It was a sound of total despair. "I'm sorry," she choked out, her voice raspy. "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Josh stood there. The power to destroy her was in his hands. He could crush her with a single word. But then he remembered his father's voice from that painful night 9 years ago. Being a man is not about fighting them. It's about becoming better than the pain they cause. If I leave the car broken, I become like them. Josh looked at the Lamborghini. He looked at the skyscraper he was building. He had already won. He had already proved his worth. To kick her now would not make him a king. It would make him a bully. It would make him just like Lisa was. Josh took a deep breath. He exhaled the last remnants of his childhood anger. He slowly crouched down. His expensive suit trousers touched the dusty ground. He didn't care. He reached out a hand, a strong, clean, manicured hand. "Stand up," Josh said softly. Lisa looked at the hand. She looked at his face. She didn't see hatred. She saw pity. She saw grace. You know who I am," she whispered. "Yes," Josh replied. "I know who you are, and I know who I am." The foreman rushed over, confused. "Sir, do not touch her. She is filthy. She has lice. She will stain your suit." Josh turned his head and glared at the foreman. The look was so intense the man took 2 steps back. "If you ever raise your hand against a worker on my site again," Josh said, his voice low and dangerous, "you will not just lose your job. You will lose your career in this city. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir. Sorry, sir." Josh turned back to Lisa. "Take my hand." Trembling, Lisa reached out. Her hand was coated in gray cement dust and mud. She placed it in Josh's palm. He gripped it tight. He pulled her up. She couldn't stand straight. She swayed, weak from hunger. Josh caught her. He put his arm around her dirty shoulders, pulling her against his clean suit. "Come with me," he said. He walked her toward the Lamborghini. The entire construction site watched in stunned silence. They watched their billionaire boss escort the lowest, dirtiest laborer into a car that cost 300 million naira. Josh opened the passenger door. The interior was pristine white leather. Lisa hesitated. I can't. I will ruin the seat. I am dirty." Josh looked at her. "It's just leather, Lisa," he said gently. "It can be cleaned. You are a human being. Get in." He helped her inside. He closed the door. Josh walked to the driver's side, got in and started the engine. The Lamborghini roared to life, a sound of victory but also of mercy. As they drove out of the gate, leaving the dust and the cruelty behind, Lisa put her head in her hands and cried. But this time, she wasn't crying from pain. She was crying because, for the first time in 9 years, someone had treated her with dignity. And the person who saved her was the one she had tried to destroy. The interior of the Lamborghini was quiet, insulated from the noise of the Lago streets. The air conditioner hummed softly, a stark contrast to the biting heat of the construction site. Lisa sat frozen in the passenger seat, afraid to move, afraid to breathe. Her dirty clothes stained the pristine white leather, leaving gray smudges of cement and sweat. She kept her hands in her lap, clenched tight, her head bowed in shame. Josh drove calmly. His hands rested lightly on the steering wheel, hands that used to be covered in grease, now guiding a machine of immense power. He glanced at Lisa periodically. He didn't see the arrogance of the girl who had tormented him. He saw a broken bird. "Are you hungry?" Josh asked, breaking the silence. Lisa nodded slowly, not trusting her voice. Her stomach gave a loud, painful growl, answering for her. Josh didn't take her to a fancy restaurant where people would stare. He pulled into a drive-thru of a high-end fast food place, ordered 3 packs of rice, chicken, moi, and cold water. He parked the car in a quiet corner of the lot. "Eat," he said, handing her the bag. Lisa opened the pack. Her hands shook so much she almost dropped the spoon. She ate like a starving animal, fast, desperate gulps. Tears streamed down her face as she chewed, mixing with the food. Josh watched her, feeling a heavy sadness in his chest. "Slow down," he said gently. "It's yours. No one will take it." After she had eaten and drunk the entire bottle of water in one go, she slumped back against the seat, exhausted but alive. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, Josh." It was the first time she had ever said his name. "How did this happen, Lisa?" Josh asked, turning to face her. "How did the daughter of Mr. Carter end up carrying blocks in Lecky?" Lisa looked out the window. The shame burned her throat. "I was foolish," she began, her voice cracking. "I thought the money would never end. When Daddy died, the plane crash, I didn't know anything. I didn't know where the money was. I didn't know the lawyers." She told him everything. She told him about the party, the crash, Uncle Lucas and Uncle Dan, the eviction, the betrayal of her friends. She told him about sleeping under bridges, fighting rats for space, the hunger that made her eat from dustbins, and finally the construction site. "I deserved it," she said, wiping her eyes with her dirty arm. "I know I deserved it. I was wicked to people. I was wicked to you. God is punishing me." Josh was silent for a long moment. "God is not punishing you," Josh said firmly. "Life is teaching you. There is a difference." He started the car again. "Where are you taking me?" Lisa asked, a flicker of fear returning. "Are you taking me to the police, or dropping me back at the bridge?" "I am taking you home," Josh said. He drove her to his house in Ikoyi. It was a masterpiece of modern architecture, white walls, glass panels, a swimming pool that wrapped around the building. It was elegant, clean, and peaceful. When they walked in, the domestic staff stared. They saw their boss, the impeccable engineer Allen, bringing in a street woman. "Mary," Josh called out to the housekeeper, a kind, elderly woman. "Yes, sir." "Please prepare the guest room in the east wing. Run a warm bath, put out fresh towels, and find some of my sister's old clothes. She left some here when she visited. They should fit her." "Yes, sir," Mary said, masking her shock with professionalism. Josh turned to Lisa. "Go with Mary, wash the construction site off you, sleep. We will talk tomorrow." Lisa fell to her knees right there on the marble floor. She grabbed Josh's hand and kissed it, weeping uncontrollably. "Why?" she sobbed. "Why are you doing this? I treated you like a dog. I splashed water on you. I called you ugly. You should hate me. You should throw me out." Josh gently pulled her up. He looked deep into her eyes. "If I threw you out, Lisa, I would be proving that you were right about me back then. You thought I was trash, but I am not trash. I am a man, and a man protects the weak, even if the weak used to be his enemy." He signaled to Mary to take her. That night, Lisa slept in a bed for the first time in 9 months. It was soft. It smelled of lavender. But she didn't sleep immediately. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, crying tears of repentance. The hate in her heart had been scrubbed away by the harsh sponge of poverty, and now the empty space was being filled with gratitude. The next morning, Lisa walked down the stairs. She was wearing a simple blue dress. Her hair was washed and combed, though it was still damaged and thin. Her face was clean, revealing the sharp cheekbones of a woman who had survived famine. Josh was sitting at the dining table, reading a newspaper and drinking coffee. He looked up. "You look human again," he smiled. Lisa sat opposite him. She couldn't meet his eyes. "I don't know how I can ever repay you." "I don't want repayment," Josh said. "I want you to fix your life. You are 26, Lisa. It is not too late." "But I have no skills," she said hopelessly. "I don't know how to do anything." "You can learn," Josh said. "I have a friend who manages a bank branch in Victoria Island. They are looking for customer service interns. It is an entry-level job. The pay is small. The work is hard. You will have to stand all day and talk to people who are angry and frustrated." He leaned forward. "It is not a job for a princess. It is a job for a worker. Can you do it?" Lisa looked at him. She thought of the heavy cement pan. She thought of the foreman's whip. Standing in an air-conditioned bank sounded like heaven. "I will do it," she said with determination. "I will scrub the floors of the bank if I have to. I just want to work. I want to earn my own money." Josh nodded. "Good, I will call him." 2 days later, Lisa started work. It was hard. She was the oldest intern. The younger girls laughed at her because she was slow with the computer. Customers shouted at her when the network was down. But Lisa didn't complain, not once. When a customer yelled, she remembered how she used to yell at people. She swallowed her pride and smiled. "I am sorry, sir. We will fix it." When the manager scolded her for being slow, she stayed late to practice typing. She worked with a ferocity born of desperation. Every evening she returned to Josh's house. She insisted on helping Mary in the kitchen. She learned to cook. She learned to clean. She refused to be a freeloader. Josh watched her transformation. He saw the arrogance melting away, revealing a woman who was kind, resilient, and deeply humble. They started spending time together. On weekends, Josh would take her to the mechanic shop, the old one. It was bigger now, expanded by Mr. Allen with Josh's help. Lisa met Mr. Allen. She stood before the old man, trembling. "Sir, do you remember me?" Mr. Allen looked at her. He looked at Josh. He smiled. "I remember a lost child," Mr. Allen said, "but I see a found woman." He didn't scold her. He offered her roasted plantain. Lisa ate it with tears in her eyes. It was the best thing she had ever tasted. Months turned into a year. Lisa was promoted at the bank. She was good at her job because she understood people now. She knew that anger often masked pain. One rainy Sunday evening, Josh and Lisa were sitting on the balcony of his house, watching the rain fall. "Do you remember the puddle?" Lisa asked softly. "I remember," Josh said, sipping his tea. "I am glad I did it," she said. Josh looked at her surprised. "Why?" "Because if I hadn't been so wicked, you wouldn't have been pushed so hard to prove me wrong. And if I hadn't lost everything, I wouldn't have become a person worthy of sitting here with you." She reached out and touched his hand. Her hand was no longer soft and useless. It was a working woman's hand, strong and capable. "You saved me, Josh, not just from the street. You saved me from myself." Josh looked at her. He saw the beauty that had always been there, but now it was lit from within by a beautiful spirit. He realized he wasn't just helping her anymore. He admired her. He respected her. And he realized with a start, he loved her. "Lisa," Josh said, his voice thick with emotion, "you saved yourself. I just opened the door." He intertwined his fingers with hers. The romance didn't happen like in the movies with fireworks. It happened like a slow sunrise. It happened in shared meals, in quiet conversations, in the mutual respect of two survivors. 2 years after he found her at the construction site, Josh took Lisa to the rooftop of the Lagos Horizon Tower, the building where she had carried blocks. It was finished now, the tallest jewel in the city skyline. They stood at the edge, looking down at the ants of cars below. "I carried cement on that ground," Lisa pointed down. "I cried in that dirt." "And now you stand on top of it," Josh said. He turned to her and pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. "Lisa Carter," Josh said, "we have seen the bottom and we have seen the top. I don't want to walk any path without you. Will you marry me?" Lisa gasped. She looked at the ring. It wasn't just a diamond, it was a promise. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." They were married in a simple ceremony. No grand parties, no fake friends. Just Mr. Allen, Josh's mother, Mary the housekeeper, and a few close friends. A year later, the nursery in the Ikoyi mansion was filled with the sound of crying. But it was the happy crying of new life. Twins, a boy and a girl. Lisa held them in her arms. She looked at their tiny faces. She looked at the luxury around them. They were born into wealth just like she was. Josh sat beside her on the bed, kissing her forehead. They are beautiful. They are rich. Lisa looked up at him, her eyes fierce with a mother's vow. They will be loved, Lisa said, but they will not be spoiled. They will learn to wash their plates. They will learn to say thank you. They will learn that the driver is a father and the cleaner is a mother. She kissed the boy's forehead, then the girl. I will teach them, Lisa whispered. I will teach them that money is just paper, but how you treat people, that is your soul. Josh smiled. He wrapped his arms around his family. From the muddy puddle to the marble floor, the circle was complete. The boy with the greasy hands and the girl with the cruel laugh had both died, and from their ashes, a family of strength and kindness had risen. And they lived, not happily ever after like a fairy tale, but happily, wisely, and gratefully, knowing the true cost of everything they had. We hope you enjoyed this powerful story. Please share your thoughts and let us know what lessons you took away in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. And guess what? Another inspiring and educative story is coming your way in just a few days. So, make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on your notification bell so you'll be the first to watch when I drop it. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family. Thank you so much for watching. Stay inspired and God bless you.